All right, everybody, welcome in. We're diving deep today into Sunday night's Falcons-Commanders game.
Oh, man, this one's going to be good.
Huge NFC matchup.
Yeah, playoff implications online.
Absolutely.
No.
Plus, we got a really interesting source for this deep dive.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's actually a preview article from BitcoinDictionary.com.
Bitcoin Dictionary for football.
I know, right?
Okay, it's kind of a head-scratcher, but trust me, they actually have some really good insights here.
Okay, so we're talking crypto meets pigskin.
Exactly, and we're going to use their analysis to try and answer a big question.
Hit me with it.
Can the Commanders pull off an upset?
Interesting, because on paper, the Falcons look pretty strong.
They do, but Bitcoin Dictionary is highlighting Washington's defense as a potential X factor.
Yeah, their defense has been a problem for a lot of teams this season.
For real. And remember their last matchup back in October.
Oh, man. You're talking about when Washington just shut them down.
Exactly. Held Atlanta to just 17 points.
Yeah.
Desmond Ridder was running for his life back there.
4 sacks, dude. Their D-line was all over him.
And that pass rush has been consistent all year long.
Yeah, they're always finding ways to disrupt the quarterback.
They just seem to have a knack for disguising those blitzes.
Which is a problem for a team like Atlanta that relies so much on their passing game.
You're right about that.
Especially with Drake London's ankle still a question mark for Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If he's not at 100%, that's a big blow to their offense.
Huge. And on the flip side, we got to talk about Atlanta's defense.
Not exactly their strong point, right?
Especially with Grady Jarrett out.
He's the heart of that defensive line.
Big time. And his absence leaves a massive hole.
A hole that a guy like Antonio Gibson could definitely exploit.
I'm with you there. So we've got strength against weakness.
Shaping up to be a classic matchup.
But here's where things get really interesting.
Right on me.
The initial odds actually favored Atlanta by 2.5 points.
So the experts were leaning towards the Falcons.
At first, yeah. But then the lines swung.
To favor Washington.
Big time. It's now at 3.5 points for the Commanders.
Whoa. Okay, that's a big shift.
It's significant. It suggests that the smart money...
The sharp bettors.
Exactly. They're putting their money on Washington's defense to be the difference maker.
Even against a high-powered offense like Atlanta's.
So we've got a real clash of styles here.
Offense versus defense.
And if you're thinking about placing a wager...
That art shift could be a major clue.
Absolutely. But let's shift gears for a second and look beyond the team dynamics.
Okay, I'm game.
BitcoinDictionary.com also highlighted some individual player props that caught my eye.
Oh, yeah. The prop bets. Always fun to speculate on those.
They're suggesting a bet on Desmond Ridder passing for over 225.5 yards.
That one feels a little risky to me.
Right. Ridder has faced some tough defenses lately.
And hasn't exactly been lighting it up.
Plus, if London's out or limited...
Who's he throwing to?
Exactly. So that over-under on his passing yards.
It's a gamble for sure.
Okay, what about their other picks?
Sierra.
They're suggesting taking the over on Sam Howell rushing for over 20.5 yards.
Now that one I can get behind.
Right.
We talked earlier about Atlanta's blitz-heavy scheme.
Yeah, they love to send pressure.
Which leaves them vulnerable to a mobile quarterback like Howell.
If he can make some plays with his legs.
And rushing yards over could be a lock.
Well, I like the way you think. And their last prop bet.
Hit me.
Bijan Robinson to score a touchdown.
Oh, now that's an interesting one.
Makes sense, though, right?
Given Washington's history against dynamic running backs,
Plus, with Jarrett out on defense,
Atlanta might lean heavily on the run game.
this could be a breakout game for Robinson.
Potentially.
Yeah. So we've got some potential upsets brewing.
Both in terms of the game itself.
And individual player performances.
But before we get too carried away,
What else we got?
we got to dig into what BitcoinDictionary.com had to say about each team's performance.
Against the spread.
ATS, baby. It's a whole other layer to this analysis.
ATS can reveal some hidden trends.
Exactly. Goes beyond just wins and losses. It's about consistency.
And exceeding expectations.
Sometimes those ATS insights,
Can be even more valuable than straight-up win-loss records.
especially when you're trying to make a smart bet.
So what did our crypto football gurus uncover?
I'm all ears. Well, they pointed out that the Falcons have a really strong ATS record as favorites.
Like when they're expected to win.
Yeah. They're 6-3 in those situations this season.
Which makes sense, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when their offense is clicking.
They're tough to beat.
Absolutely. So what about Washington on the other side?
Well, that's where things get a little more interesting.
Oh, how so?
Their ATS record as underdogs.
Not as good.
Not great. They're only 4-5 in those games.
So they tend to struggle a bit.
when they're not expected to win.
Interesting.
Mhm.
So even though the odds currently favor Washington,
Their history suggests they might not cover the spread,
it's almost like those sharp bettors are thinking,
that it'll be a close Commanders victory.
rather than a blowout.
Possibly. And that's where things get really, really interesting.
Okay, you got me hooked. What is it?
Remember BitcoinDictionary.com?
Yeah, our crypto football analysts.
They're actually predicting a Falcons win.
Even though the odds favor Washington.
They're going against the grain here.
Bold prediction.
Mm.
So, what's their reasoning?
They seem to believe that Atlanta's offense
Even without London at full strength.
is still potent enough to overcome Washington's D.
I see. They're banking on that Falcons firepower.
They also point to Atlanta's experience in high-pressure games.
Right. They've been in the playoff hunt all season.
So they're factoring in that psychological element.
The intangibles.
Hmm.
Interesting. But okay, we got to address the elephant in the room here.
What's that?
Why are we getting football analysis from BitcoinDictionary.com?
I know, right? It's like...
It's not exactly ESPN.
But honestly, I think it speaks to a larger trend.
What do you mean?
The lines between traditional sports analysis and the world of data and tech.
They're blurring.
Exactly. And maybe a website like Bitcoin Dictionary.
They have access to some unique data,
Algorithms, predictive models.
even that traditional analysts don't.
It's possible, right?
Oh, absolutely. I
I-
mean, they could be using blockchain technology
To track player performance.
to analyze historical trends.
To even factor in real-time variables.
like weather or social media sentiment.
It's crazy to think about.
Right. It's like we're on the verge of a whole new era,
Of sports analysis.
powered by algorithms and blockchain.
I mean, whether you agree with their predictions or not,
Bitcoin Dictionary is definitely making us think differently,
about how we analyze and understand sports.
challenging conventions.
I'm all for it. But okay, let's bring it back to Sunday night.
Falcons Commanders NFC showdown.
Based on everything we've discussed,
Who you got?
man, this one feels like a toss-up to me.
Yeah.
Two evenly matched teams,
Contrasting styles
key injuries.
and a ton of uncertainty.
It's a nail-biter for sure.
Those are the best kind.
But before we let our listeners go and make their bets,
What surprised you most about this whole deep dive?
for me, it's the reminder that,
Innovation can come from anywhere.
exactly, we're getting football insights.
From a crypto website,
It just shows you that the world of sports,
it's constantly evolving.
and we need to be open to new perspectives.
New approaches,
And that's what the deep dive is all about.
exploring those unconventional sources.
Making you the listener
A more informed.
and insightful fan.
So as you watch the Falcons and Commanders battle it out on Sunday night,
Keep in mind everything we've talked about today.
remember those key injuries,
The contrasting styles of play,
and of course,
that intriguing odds shift.
and watch out for those unexpected moments.
Those turning points that could decide the game.
Most importantly, though,
Enjoy the game.
we've given you the tools to appreciate it on a whole new level.
You know, it's wild to think that maybe years from now, everyone's going to be...
Getting their football analysis from crypto sites.
Yeah. Like this could be the start of something big.
Who knows? Maybe we're witnessing the future.
But okay, let's bring it back to the present.
Focus on what we know.
We've covered a lot of ground today.
Historical rivalry.
That last Commanders win,
Even dipped our toes into the world of crypto predictions.
of course.
We can't forget about those injuries.
Grady Jarrett being out,
That could really shake things up on defense.
no doubt. So for all our listeners out there gearing up for Sunday night,
What's the one thing they should keep in mind?
what's the key takeaway?
If I had to pick one, I'd say,
Yeah.
don't underestimate that Commanders defense.
They've been playing lights out.
It's their biggest strength.
And if they can come that same energy from their last matchup,
They have a real shot at pulling off the upset.
I think that's a great point to end on.
It's going to be an exciting game for sure.
Can't wait to see how it all plays out.
But we've done our deep dive.
Now it's time for the players to do theirs.
Enjoy the game, everyone. It's going to be a good one.
And that's a wrap on this episode of The Deep Dive, folks. We'll be back next week with another deep dive into a topic you never knew you were passionate about. Until then, keep those minds curious, and we'll see you on the other side.